And first, I'm going to have Julian tell us a little bit about the product updates that were implemented ahead of the event all around ticketing. Take it away, Julian.
Absolutely. Thanks, Angela, and hello, everybody. So I just want to make sure, Chris, I think there was maybe a little issue because you spoke over Angela, but everything is fine now. So yes, indeed, last week the whole team, but Angela and Saksham were in Paris for ECC, and for everyone who knows this, ECC is a Ethereum community conference happening in Paris with about 2,000 attendees. It was the 5th edition this year, and this year, for the first time, Unlock was powering all of the tickets for the conference. Maybe wondering, why is Unlock doing tickets? Well, simply speaking, a ticket to a conference is a membership to the conference. It's a way to think of a ticket as a membership to an event or to the organizers of the conference. And so Unlock was powering all of the tickets. They were sold in multiple batches over spring, and we basically were powering the tickets. And then last week we focused on registration. The idea was that obviously out of the 2,000 attendees that had ticket, we needed to make sure that every single one of them was able to go through, enter the venue, retrieve a wristband, and then go attend some of the talks that they wanted to come see. And so for this, we built a couple different things. The first one is obviously what we call the keychain, which is a piece of the UI on Unlock where anyone can generate QR codes that can be then used as tickets, as paper tickets. The tickets themselves, the memberships, or should I say, are NFTs, but the NFT is hard to show. And I can show you an image of an NFT, a so-called JPEG, that doesn't prove that it's a real one. So we created a system where from these NFTs, their owners can generate QR codes, like the one you find in restaurants these days, and then have the QR code be scanned by anyone with a mobile device to verify that the QR code indeed is a valid ticket. And so we built that little application. The second part that we built is what we call the verifier UI. So it's a special UI that basically allows anyone who scans the QR code to verify that the ticket is valid. And then specifically, if the person scanning the ticket is an organizer, to kind of redeem the QR code so that no two attendees can show up with the same QR code. And so that was the second piece of the application that we built. We built this in the mobile app on the web, mobile web app, should I say. And really, it's one of the goal was to make it very, very snappy so that you could actually scan up to 2,000 people in an hour. And so we built this for FCC. And practically speaking, indeed, almost 2,000 people showed up last week at FCC. And for the vast majority of cases, people were able to go through very quickly and retrieve their wristbands. So if you want to learn more about this, obviously there's a blog post on our blog that Chris wrote that has a full summary of the experience.
Patrick, I know you were there too. Can you talk to us about what made the terrain of this event a little bit more complex use case?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a unique event in that there were 8 different types of ticketing tiers. So some of those were sold, some of those were going to be given out for free to either sponsors, students, or VIPs that they wanted to participate in the event. So due to that size and scope, there were 1,800 tickets of different varieties that needed to be created. And ECC was able to, through Unlock Protocol, build 8 contracts in order to enable ticketing for those 8 different tiers. Just the size of this, and if anyone in the community has this answer, I'd love to know, but I believe it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest events ever completely ticketed on chain. So what we've shown is 1,800 tickets are now in 1,800 wallets of attendees of this event. And now it gives ECC and anyone the opportunity to do things with that community that can be identified through these tokens that they all shared as being an attendee.
So amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about that purchase flow?
Yeah, so the way that the purchase flow worked was The tickets were sold through ECC's website using the checkout, which is configured by Unlock Protocol. They were sold in batches. So 1,000 of the tickets were sold in batches of 200. Each of those each of those batches sold out in minutes. There was a lot of demand for these tickets, and blockchain was able to necessitate all of that. So it was fairly seamless to set up. I think a fun fact is these tickets were sold in USDC on Polygon, and 53% of tickets that were purchased with USDC on Polygon. I think this demonstrates a novel use case for consumers with tokens and really shows how eager people are to use these tokens in these types of consumer applications.
I just think it's so great that we're finally seeing some real world use cases from start to finish, working and working well. This is what we wanted for NFTs always, right? I mean,
Yeah,
this is what we kind of envisioned the space to be, and it's finally coming to fruition. That's so great.
yeah, and the momentum that we have behind us as a result of this, and if you haven't had a chance to review the blog post that we've created, definitely take a look because it provides a pretty detailed overview of our experience. Um, this isn't theoretical. This isn't hypothetical. These were 1,800 people that walked through the door. We scanned a QR code. We registered that they checked in, and a conference ticketed an event on chain, which is really exciting. This demonstrated that on NFT ticketing is ready to ticket events of thousands of people on Unlock Protocol. So let's go.
So, Julian, there were some specific product updates that we did that were specific to the way that the tickets themselves were delivered. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So one of the ones is basically that obviously these tickets are QR code. People can retrieve them from the dashboard, but the organizers at FCC wanted also the ability to email everyone their QR code, so people didn't have to come, generate the QR code themselves. So through the members page, and if you've deployed the lock on Unlock, you probably know about that page. This is a page where you can see all of the addresses that have a membership, a ticket in the context of a conference to your lock. You can actually list, obviously, all of the attendees. You can filter by addresses, by token ID to find a special attendee in the list. And what you can do now is save an email address for a specific one. So you can basically say, okay, cool, I know token 25. I'm going to update their email address to be julian@unlock-protocol.com. And then obviously you have a little button that you can click on to send the QR code directly to the user. So in that context, the user doesn't have to come themselves to the dashboard or to the keychain to generate the QR code. They can do it straight. They can receive one straight from the members page by the organizers. Another pretty cool innovation that we've done on these is we've partnered with our friends at ethpass.xyz to allow these QR codes to be added to the mobile wallets on the attendees' devices. So I'm sure if you use an iOS or Android device, you've probably seen that in the past, but you can add, a ticket to the device itself. And so that's something that ethpass does with all of the tickets. This is actually happening through the keychain. You can not only send the QR code by email, but have it been added to your wallet directly. So these are two of the things that we built for ECC.
Starting to become a very seamless experience and meeting people exactly where they're at. So this is so great. Julian, this conference in particular had some challenges. The number of attendees definitely made it challenging. There was some really ambitious goals around ensuring that registration went very smoothly, that there weren't long lines, which is always a difficult problem. Can you talk to us a little bit about the prep work that went into that?
Absolutely. Obviously, you said it right. Like the conference wanted to make sure that all of the attendees could get inside in less than an hour. And so we did the math of looking, okay, 2,000 attendees, an hour. That gave us, and we had, we had 8, stations where people could register. And so we did the math, and that gave us between, 15 and 20 seconds per attendee. So really, we worked hard on making sure that the app was very snappy. We worked hard around the process of making sure that, when people get in line, they would pull their QR code so that they didn't have to do this at the time. We would start scanning this. And in the end, yes, we did all of that prep. We did a bunch of simulation. We printed pages of QR code and tried to scan them as quickly as possible, just to make sure that things were smooth. We did all of that. And indeed, things were pretty smooth. Again, we had 1,800 people check in, definitely less than an hour, or actually it took more than an hour because most people didn't show up within that hour. Some people didn't show up within that hour. I don't think there was more than, 20 seconds of line at any point, maybe a minute in the worst case scenario. It took more time for people to pull their QR codes than to actually be in line to get these QR codes scanned. So really, really proud of the achievement that we've done here. That opens the door to us doing, obviously, ticketing for a lot more events. We're already chatting with multiple ones happening in Europe, happening in the US over the next few weeks and months. So we're really, really excited about Unlock as a ticketing solution.
So Patrick, how was your overall impression for how things went?
Yeah, so going into the event, because it is pretty new, we went in with eyes wide open. And after standing at registration for 3 hours to open the show, I was really amazed at how seamless the experience was. Attendees would come in. If they found the QR code that was either with ETHPass or within an email, that system was pretty easy. Pulling up the QR code and scanning it with phones was frictionless. Checking people in was easy. There were no lines. It was as seamless or flawless as I would experience at any major sporting event with people checking people in. So I think this is really a strong proof point that NFT ticketing on Unlock is ready for prime time. So I believe this will open up more opportunities for us to do more events, and then it becomes this opportunity for the ecosystem to develop tools for people to do things with these tokens after a conference. So we have ideas of virtual swag bags from sponsors to event attendees. Different community apps are one of our developers, Saksham, built a ticket chat application where people could connect with the common linkage being having a token from ETHCC. So really exciting opportunities to explore, and the future looks bright.
I know for my part, there's definitely going to be a bunch more education around ticketing with Unlock that came from all of this. Julian, is there any other takeaways that might influence future development at Unlock specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been thinking about some of the features. Obviously, I mentioned the members page. That's something that we're investing a bunch right now to make sure that it's really easy. We have the verifiers UI, so a little UI that allows organizers to add, accounts and wallets that can actually scan QR codes on behalf of, as an organizer. So there's definitely, I don't say rough edges, but there's definitely things that we're going to improve because we learn what are the things that are possible to do. But as Patrick said, maybe one of the most exciting things for me is the idea that obviously these NFTs are going to be in the user's wallet forever and should be leveraged not only by the organizers, but by anybody who wants to message these people. So the virtual swag bag is an example. Obviously, you can also imagine a scenario where the conference next year sells more tickets and they want, another round of tickets for the session 6 of ECC. They might want to build something where only the people that had ticket last year have a kind of a preview period. The early birds are going to be for the faithful birds in that way. So these are the kind of things that I'm really excited about. And one thing that I want to see as well is other conferences leveraging this. So maybe you say, okay, cool, we're doing the New York conference about NFTs. Maybe we want to make it so that ECC attendees get a discount, for example. So that's the kind of thing that I'm excited about, is the idea of reusing the membership in multiple contexts.
Well, this is really the power of Unlock Protocol, right? Is the fact that we have the ability to take what's done in one place on the web and move it, or in real life, and move it to different other places in real life and on the web. I think that speaks so much to the strengths of the protocol, actually.
Absolutely. That's one of the key aspects of what we're working on.
So the next thing I was going to do is just open up the floor in case anybody had any questions about ticketing specifically. Now that we've kind of been through exactly what that experience looked like at ECC. So I'm just going to give it a little awkward minute for people to raise their hand in case they have any specific questions about this before we move on to talking about protocol updates and specifically some documentation updates that we're really excited about. So I'm just going to mute myself for a second and wait for raised hands. Mr. Wild and Free, go ahead and take it away. What's your question? Be sure to unmute yourself. Sounds like he might be having a little technical difficulties.
Hey, peace and
I'm just
blessings.
going to give him. Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you initially. Peace and blessings, you all. It's been a little minute. Speaking it into existence, all went well at ECC, and as it sounds, things were incredible. So really excited to hear about these implementations and the way that you all were able to take advantage of the Unlock protocol to make a seamless experience for the attendees that showed up. And one of the things that I was thinking about, I believe it was either Julian or Patrick, as you were speaking through the experience and mentioning that you also implemented the feature for the ticket, the QR code to be added to our mobile wallets. I found that fascinating and exciting, and relieved to hear that that was something that you all were successfully able to implement, because that is absolutely one of the easiest and most frictionless ways to experience event ticketing, that we have. But even beyond that, I wanted to ask, like, what are you all's thoughts about an implementation very similar to like what happens with airplane tickets, right? Where you can add it to your wallet, but when you show up to the venue or around the time of your flight, what happens is the ticket kind of persists as a permanent notification at the top of your notification list that allows you to easily access it from the lock screen without having to like dive into the wallet app and then try to pull up the wallet. Instead, it just remains at the top, at the forefront, ready for you once the event time is kind of nearing, or the flight, in that regard.
So that's absolutely yes, you're right. A very important feature. To be clear, though, we did not implement this. We partnered with ETHPass. We feel this is not a core protocol characteristic, if you want. This is definitely the kind of thing that should be in the application layer. And to be clear, most of the stuff that we've built for ECC were actually should be in the application layer. So I don't think we will implement ourselves that ability to, again, store in wallets. Because we think that's, again, application layer. Chris, I don't know if Chris is here. Chris from ETHPass actually did a great job on this. We also give him some feedback on in terms of improvements. I'll definitely send him the message about making these QR code persistent, because I do think that's a great idea. Maybe it's a good time for me to kind of remind of the difference, I guess, between what is the core protocol versus what is applications. If that's helpful, I can definitely jump into that.
Please do.
Absolutely.
So,
and thank you for that clarification.
Of course. So basically, Unlock is a protocol, and really it starts with the idea that there should be a universal way of doing any kind of memberships, and then each application, each website, each creator, each community should be able to use the protocol to represent their membership and then to use it inside of their applications. Honestly, extremely excited about the work that we've done for tickets for ETC. Really excited about a lot of conferences that are going to use Unlock for tickets in the future. The end goal for us would be for Ticketmaster, for Universe, for any of the very large ticketing providers in the world to implement the protocol themselves. It's our goal is not to create a specific application or even a set of applications. Is for the protocol to be used everywhere. It's almost like when you create a web page, you use HTTP, use HTML, and that's the kind of thing that we actually built. Obviously, to gain adoption, to showcase what the protocol can do, we are building some of the early application, like the ticketing one is one of the one that we're building. Obviously, you pretty know the WordPress plugin is another one. We have what we call the paywall, which is a UI that you can integrate on any website. But these are things that we built on top of the core protocol to showcase what it can do in many different contexts. Does that make sense?
Yes, indeed.
I love this because this actually leads us straight into the next topic, which is we realized that there was a need to better communicate some of the core of what we're doing here at Unlock Protocol. And through that process, we created a new light paper. You can find it on our documentation site, which has been completely revamped and updated. I'm happy to say that things should be much easier to find and much better documented, but there will also be some significant coming upgrades to that too. So we'll continue to iterate on those improvements very quickly, actually, and we're pushing forward at a kind of breakneck pace, if you will. But I want to talk a little bit about that light paper, and I want Julian and Patrick to talk to some of the topics that made it really shine, because we wanted people to know more about why we're doing what we're doing, what our business models look like, what those use cases look like. And so, Patrick, can you get started in talking about how this process got started?
Yeah, so the light paper was a continuation of the developer documentation we had in order to really unpack to what Angela said, our business model, why Unlock matters, why we're doing what we're doing, and why this matters to people. So I think that we achieved those goals within the light paper. It was a great process to be a part of. It was definitely a collaborative effort across everyone on our team, with everyone contributing to the light paper. And it was helpful from an alignment perspective to make sure that we're documenting exactly how the protocol works, because it's a novel thing. The idea of there being a reward of a governance token from every transaction that is going to be rewarded to an entity, and Unlock Labs will get a piece of that as well. It's hard to explain that to people outside of crypto, or even people that are crypto native. So now having a documentation that we can turn to in order to act as a reference is really helpful.
I think hearing a little bit more about the story of whys behind the creation was really important. I actually had a little bit of insight to this myself personally, just because I'd been following along quietly with Julian's writings and his thoughts, and all the way back since he initially launched the protocol. But Julian, can you talk a little bit about that portion of it, the whys, because that really informs everything that comes next.
And I was not unmuted. Sorry about this. Obviously, the why. So yeah, it's some of us obviously have been around the web for almost close to 20 years at this point. And one thing that is obvious is like the monetization of the web at this point is all driven by attention. It's all driven by the number of people that see your tweets, the web page. And in practice, it's not based on the value creation that creators provide. And one thing that I've realized is like there's an alternate business model for the web, which is the one that I call membership. One where instead of being bombarded with ads or with content that's kind of irrelevant to us, but that is made to attract our eyeballs, we are supporting our favorite creators, our favorite authors, our favorite communities by buying a membership from them. And these doesn't have to be expensive. I should clarify. Like if you account for all of the ads, all of the ad revenue that a user generates on a given month, it's less than $10. So if you could replace this by donating, or I shouldn't say donating, actually purchasing a membership for some of your favorite creators, some of your favorite artists, you could actually spend the same amount, about $10, and have all of these people being supported without having to steal your attention, steal your private data, et cetera, et cetera. So really the core motivation behind Unlock is like, can we build an alternate business model for the web where content especially is monetized through membership rather than through attention? And that's really the core motivation behind Unlock, with the idea as well that it's already happening with or without Unlock in some way. You can also already see, website like Patreon, YouTube now has a way to support specific channels. Everybody is moving toward paid membership. You can think about Substack, about Medium, about Spotify, about Netflix. So one of the core goals is to make this compatible so that it just behaves the same across the web rather than behaves differently on every single website and application.
I think that's really the exciting part about it, is the universal nature. I mean, that's the power of protocol specifically, is they're really an agreement, a universal agreement. And in this case, and in every case, we're talking about global agreements. That makes so many use cases actually possible because you're involving a greater number of people all over the globe. But it can't happen unless you have these agreements first. That's what protocols are for. Let's talk a little bit about what we can do with Unlock Protocol, and part of what was included in the white paper about those specific use cases. And actually, Chris had worked a bunch on this part too, in helping us communicate that really properly. Chris, can you talk a little bit about that part?
Yeah, happy to. So as far as the use cases, there are probably about a half a dozen key ones that we are seeing, and a big part of this really sort of boils down to one of the key differences between Unlock and what else is out there, which is the fact that Unlock Protocol enables time-based memberships. One of the interesting things, and as we've gotten a couple of years now into the NFT cycle part of the space, one of the things that we're seeing is sort of the first gen of NFTs, where once you had the NFT, you were part of that club forever. Makes it really, really difficult for things to be sustainable. And the fact that Unlock has time based memberships really enables a number of key use cases. So, in this conversation, we've talked a lot about ticketing, which is really, it's, if you squint, it's a membership to show up at a particular place at a particular time for a particular duration. Some of the other things that we're seeing are media memberships, and as we've also been talking about a little bit here, really that is sort of the pay creators directly. So instead of the way Spotify works, where you literally have to get 1 million streams of a song to make $5,000 US, you could similarly have just a handful of individuals paying $10 a month and make more in a month than you'd make in a year or 5 years on Spotify. And on top of that, you also have the direct relationship as a creator with those particular fans. We're seeing DAO memberships as another interesting use case. So with DAOs, when the first wave of DAOs sort of spun up, folks were saying, oh, get our token or get 75 of our tokens, which are ERC20s, and then you're a member. Well, what happened, shockingly, is the folks who had the means and the resources to go buy memberships did, and then were able to have a disproportionate impact on things like proposals and votes and the like. And so, starting to talk to a number of DAOs now and really separating out the concept of membership and using a time-based membership like we see with Unlock to say somebody is a member for a year or a season or a quarter or whatever the right duration is. We're starting to see certifications and credentials as another really key use case as well, and this is all written up in the white paper, which you can get at docs.unlock-protocol.com/lightpaper. Certifications, especially professional certifications, inherently have a time-based aspect to them. So when we work with folks like CDAA who are doing continuing education and certification for financial planners, they want that certification only to be good for a year or 2 years because the industry changes, new knowledge needs to be gained. And just because you learned about how to do financial planning, back in 1985, world's kind of different now, and you should have to go in and recertify your skills. And then, of course, there are some of these other more traditional types of NFT projects that can and do take advantage of Unlock as well. So, if you are thinking about things like digital collectibles and wanted to do a project for digital collectibles, PFP type project, not only do you get the ability to mint and customize all the different imagery, but the way the unlock contracts are set up, it's very easy as you expand out your universe, not just to show your PFP, but to give access to an online community or an online game, or use that as a ticket for an event. Those are all different things you can do, and the contract makes it very easy to think about that gating aspect of it as well. And of course, through all of these different implications or implementations rather of Unlock, every time somebody mints on Unlock, everybody as part of the ecosystem gets a say in the future direction of the protocol as well, because in addition to getting the NFT that's minted, either the creator or the platform or the individual who purchased the NFT gets a portion of some governance in the protocol as well, which helps us all collectively determine the future. So those are, a number of the key use cases. We're starting to have some conversations around things like e-commerce. Enabled NFT based types of interactions as well. So, there are a lot of different things, and all of these are really centered on the utility and this concept of membership and the different types of interactions and conversations and communities and rewards that can come as part of a thoughtful membership program. So those are some of the highlights. Angela, back to you.
Well, it's really interesting actually because I think that part of the difficulty in really explaining use cases was the fact that the protocol itself is very powerful and flexible. Just to highlight a few of those things, um, eh, you know, they're extensible smart contracts that have a certain level of flexibility because they support a wide range of currencies. They're extensible with hooks and the ability to add metadata, and they're role based with a wide variety of configurations there. And, that I think is what made this explaining of exactly what you can do it's such a difficult thing. We're actually getting to the point now, though, where we have these really exciting use cases that are coming to a fruition, being used out in the wild, being used successfully and for real life things, not just um, flights of fancy and examples, but useful and timely. And I see that we have another question, so I'm going to pull Mr. Wild and Free up on this.
And have we lost Angela?
Nope, I'm still here. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Woundfree.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean to interject. You could have finished your point.
Oh no, that was just my point.
Fair sentence.
Go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did want to chime in a bit. More so just a thought exploration, kind of on a point that was just made about um, the credentials, right? And the importance of certifications having that expiration date, which is something that I hadn't thought of before because I understand that, the conversation has started to unfold around CBTs, the soul bound tokens, for credentials and things of that nature, more along the lines of, like, say, a master's degree or, a driver's license. But even in that regard, I think it would, with a driver's license, it would apply very much so to the use case mentioned with some form of expiration embedded in it. So I guess my question with that would be, with this expiring NFT functionality that can be utilized for certifications, would that also be something, like, have you all already kind of created it so that potentially this NFT cannot be sold on a secondary market to kind of prevent
Oh,
transfer?
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Chris mentioned the smart contract being highly customizable, or actually Angela, with hooks, with a bunch of other characteristics. And yes, the transferability is something that each lock manager, basically creator, can set or unset. And so basically, yes, as a lock manager, you can make the NFTs non-transferable. And that's actually what, you're right, what CDAA does for the certifications, but also what the conference EFCC actually did in Paris, and many conferences do this because they want to avoid, scalpers just buying tons of tickets and then selling them on secondary markets. So that is definitely possible and something that is built in the core characteristics of the contract.
That's fantastic. And speaking to that high customizability with the smart contract, tell me, do you know if it's possible to say, okay, this NFT is non-transferable up until a certain date? Like, say for instance, it is a ticketing thing, right? And you give access and you say the ticket itself is non-transferable, like, or, to your point, like, you have some conferences that have non-transferable assets or NFTs provided, but is there a way to also write in, okay,
Yes.
yep, oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
yes, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I cut you here, but yes, absolutely. So I should make it clear: the non-transferability is also something that is not permanent, that you can, make and then undo. So you can make the ticket not transferable for a while and then transferable again. We actually, and that's kind of a little secret, but we added a new hook on the smart contract as of, version 11. That's going to be released any day now. In practice, actually, if you follow our GitHub, you see that the code has been merged and we're really, really getting ready to actually ship this all around. That new version includes an on-transfer hook that can basically, fail any transfer or have them succeed based on some characteristics. And obviously, the time is a characteristic. So you can say, okay, any transfer that happens between midnight and 2 a.m. fails, everybody else succeeds, or any transfer that happens after December 25th would work. Any transfer that, you could do anything that you would want on the hook smart contract at this point.
We'll be making some announcements and updating the docs on that too. So you guys will know all the details that you need to.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's fantastic.
So we're getting a little far along in the hour, and I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time to do some show and tell. And I see quite a few people from our community here that I know are building. I see Danny, I see White Hat Dow, I see Hanifa. Hey guys, would you like to come up on stage and talk a little bit about what you're doing? Please raise your hand now, and I'm going to give you a minute to make requests. A little bit of awkward silence. Pulling Luca up on stage. As soon as you have an opportunity, go ahead and unmute yourself and take it away. I'm great. I'm great. Thanks.
So we are from Argentina, and we have been investigating the protocol for a while, and we found it pretty interesting. So we're trying to build like an Eventbrite, right, for people who are not Web3 native, because here in Argentina, it's like not the most people use crypto, right? So if right now they wanted to use Unlock, I mean, they can create an account, for example, but they can't pay with Stripe because it's not available here. So we are trying to build something around Unlock to empower this, right? So our idea is to accept different payment, like different payments, and to help the people to access this, right? And the other thing we found that was kind of tricky was to check in the tickets, because you need to be a key manager, so you need an access to a wallet. So would be a way to just, I don't know, create some accounts and make them to check in the tickets without having a wallet?
Absolutely. So the verifiers themselves at ECC did not use a crypto wallet, or rather, they use an unlock account, which actually comes with a crypto wallet, but users don't know about this. And the cool thing, they actually all use the same. So that was actually very easy for anyone to be set up. The organizers of the conference shared an account with all of the verifiers, as we call them, all of the people that are actually scanning tickets to let people in.
Oh, okay, so they use just one account for everyone.
Yep, exactly right.
Okay, great. And another thing we're trying to do is it's like an integration with IoT to, I don't know, scan the ticket and open a door, or maybe not scan it, but just sign a transaction and send it to some web server or something and unlock it. So we are trying to figure out if we could have some help from the protocol or something like that to polish our ideas.
Absolutely, yeah. You feel free to share, questions, screenshots, maybe links on Discord, because that's where we can help. And I know we have a growing community of people, developers that are also building on top of it. So if it's not the core team that's helping you, it might be somebody in the channels. I see here a few of our favorite people in the channels, Danny, CBTSec. Honestly, these people are answering very good questions on Discord. So feel free to join Discord, and I'm sure you'll find answers.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, our main idea was to align with the protocol uh, ideas, right?
And Luca, you'll find me as Wonder Woman Code in the Discord server. Feel free to ping me directly if you have any questions about that. And I'm happy to point you in the right direction and get you where you need to be, ensure that you have resources that you need, connect you with other community members, whatever that is. That's what we're really here for. Next, I'm going to pull Danny up on stage. He's been working on a bunch of stuff for Unlock, learning everything he can about the protocol. And he can talk about a little bit of the work that he's been doing. Go ahead, Danny.
Thanks, Angela. All right, guys. It's been a really, really great journey learning about Unlock. So I kind of found out about Unlock from a friend who told me about it, and it sounded really exciting. So I went to check it out, and I found that it's been around for a couple of years. It's like an OG in the space. I was like, wow, like there's something this great, and it's been on the low for this long. So I started trying to get as much information as I could about Unlock, and right about that time, I was looking at, the Hashlips NFT project on YouTube. And, the whole thing just kind of connected. Like, hey, you could actually, put this together to actually have like a sort of membership based NFT collection. And I was kind of thinking about the whole process at the time with the normal NFTs that's around. And I thought, if you could actually level up your NFTs, that'd be pretty cool. So, everything just kind of fit together because of Unlock. And so started out to work on a project that could, allow you to level up your NFTs based on coordination. So it's kind of like a coordination game where you kind of collect tokens, which are like keys, and that would allow you to level up your NFTs. And as you level up your NFTs, it kind of earn tokens. And so it's been really really exciting going through it, and so far so good. It's been a really great journey. So I guess that's kind of what I'm working on at a really high level. So I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone might have on that. But that's back to you, Angela.
Well, I just have to say a big thank you to Danny too, because he shared some of his work back to the community and created a scaffold ETH flavor with Unlock protocol built in. So that's going to be a great tool to add to our kit. And I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you. And I am so excited to continue seeing what comes from the work that you've been doing. I think the next person that was on the list for speaking was Hanifa. And she's actually came from our Gitcoin grants program. Um, and she has a really exciting project, music based. And I'll let her tell you all about that. Oh, looks like we lost Hanifa. So that's fine. If I'm just going to give it a second to see if she can hop back in and request to speak again. But I also want to make sure I give everybody else a chance to raise their hand in case there's anything else that they would like to add. We've got like 10 minutes left. And I just want to remind everyone that this is shill and tell time. So just talk about whatever it is that you're building. If there's something you're building on Unlock, also, you can ask us anything. So feel free to ask questions about the protocol or ask us if there's anything that you need. I'm going to give it just a minute of awkward silence.
Oh, I'm not gonna ask any question. I just wanted to, shout out a little bit to Angela because I kind of chopped it while I was, talking about my project, and it kind of skipped. But I really wanted to say a big thank you because, I mean, you've been really helpful in trying to help me get the things I've been looking for, resources, and gather my thoughts together. And I just wanted to say I really appreciate you, and you've been doing a really good job. So thanks.
Oh, thank you, Danny. I really appreciate the feedback. And it's good to know that I'm appreciated here. I've had so much fun. It's been 2 months now. In a couple of days, it'll be officially 2 months. And I have to say, this is the most friction free drop in I've ever had on a team. And I've dropped into a lot of teams, especially as a consultant over the years. And so I just want to give a shout out to my team members too for being so awesome. And that's what makes my job so much easier, actually. I'm just going to give it just another minute for anybody else to raise their hand. Maybe Hanifa can pop back up um, and and just open it back up to the team in case there's anything else they want to add. We're getting like 8 minutes away from the top of the hour.
Yeah, I wanted to tag Julian because we're talking about non-transferable NFTs and some of the ticketing types of things. And you were working the help desk and had a couple of interesting experiences of folks trying to game the
Yes.
system a little bit. So folks on the call might be interested in in some of the things that you saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for putting me on the spot here. But basically, at FCC, we were surprised to find that people showed up with fake QR codes. So I did not expect this, but basically, multiple people showed up with, things that looks very suspicious. It turns out that somebody on Twitter, he's the chief security officer at Polygon, had posted a message with a fake QR code and a screenshot of the email that we sent saying that he was attending the conference. And obviously, that QR code was not his QR code, was just one that he generated that was basically a warning message about how to tweet QR codes. And then someone apparently found that tweet and then printed it and showed up at the venue saying, "Hey, this is my ticket." And then we scanned it; it was not valid. And then we asked the person's name. They said Mohit Gupta, but clearly that person was not Mohit Gupta. And when asked for the ID, obviously they didn't have an ID to verify that they were who they claimed to be. So that was kind of an interesting thing. I honestly did not expect someone to try to cheat their way around attending the conference.
The interesting part about that is everything worked as it should have. And
Exactly right. We
yeah,
were able to easily kind of catch that person. I mean, catch, you know what I mean? Like we were able to tell that person that clearly the ticket was not valid and that they should try harder, I guess. But yes, so that was one of the unexpected things that behaved the way they should, which is good.